Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of Furry Found Footage. I've got a real treat for you today. Hundhotellet is a delightful mystery film in the vein of an Agatha Christie novel featuring a hotel full of eccentric characters, underhanded tricks, and passionate trysts. You may not think it was from the year 2000 by looking at it, but that's the truth of it. I've been looking for English subtitles for this film for over a year, and even considered trying to import a DVD. But lo and behold, a few months ago, someone posted the whole thing with subtitles hard-coded in. Please follow the link in the description if you'd like to watch the movie first. Since this movie focuses on mysteries and writing, I would like to mention that in another life, I'm a writer of horror and fantasy. There's been some events happening recently that may result in the publishing of my first novel, so when that happens, I will make sure to let you all know. Today, I'll be focusing mostly on the characters in this film, touching briefly on each one so that I don't give away the mystery, because this is a comedy mystery film. It's also a very adult film, as we'll see. So let's get into the characters. First, Stur, our protagonist, who also serves as the narrator. He's on the trail of two dogs who came out of a painting and stole something from his mystery writer owner's office. He follows them into an anthropomorphic world of intrigue. His friend, Picasso, convinces him to take a trip to Paris, but during a storm they decide to bed down in the titular Hundhotellet. Side note, but the hotel is named Rosenkoppen or Rosebud in the film. Stur is a great character. He's very slow and ponderous and thoughtful. He is established as a bit of a gourmand, a fat fellow who enjoys the finer things in life, eating heavy meals, drinking heartily,
Skål!
Skål! Skål!
Skål!
and smoking cigars. My kind of guy. He serves as a sounding board for the theories of another guest, named Miss Mops, who I'll talk about later. He spends a lot of time trying to get his increasingly dissected car back in one piece,
Under natten hade nämligen någon lagt vantarna på mina däck.
but becomes embroiled in the underhanded dealings taking place on the margins of dinner parties. Picasso, Stur's friend, is a French dachshund, a Renaissance man whose art is painting, cooking, and philandering. Once they arrive at the hotel, he takes up the role of chef, all but discarding his canvases in order to pursue multiple women throughout the film.
Kan jag hjälpa fröken med grönsakerna?
Ja.
Because artists know how to get it.
Du, min egen lilla purjopudding.
Vid min vitglödgade. Vad gör ni här?
Our villain is Dr. Dunkelspiel, the architect of a theft and smuggling ring assisted by his henchmen, two, quote, inseparable waiters. He spends the film reading secret messages and arranging deals while looking appropriately pointy. The nervous hotel manager acts as a sort of center for the film, as characters frequently have to go to the front desk
Önskar henne ett rum eller flera, en svit kanske med eller utan fönster. Vi kan erbjuda allt.
to have conversations, take mail, or make phone calls in front of him. He gets startled by mummy-related activity more than once in the film, and I really love this part where he doggy barks after being frightened by a mummy. Oh yes, by the way, there are mummies in this movie. Countless mystery novels of the early 20th century were fascinated with the other. And because Hundhotellet is taking inspiration from those novels, it's no different. It prominently features Egyptian motifs like Anubis, pyramids, and Ka, and there's even a visiting Chinese magician who can grow or shrink objects. Shout out to extremely rare mummification kink representation. In the great family of Universal monsters, I'm more of a werewolf girl myself. Speaking of wolves, Baskerville Jr. is the drooling motorcycle courier and another pale henchman of the pointy doctor. He rides a motorbike on Stur's stolen car tires and acts as a middleman while trying to scrape up a few extra bucks. His name, of course, is a nod to Sherlock Holmes' story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Next up is one of my favorites. This is Mr. Big. He's an American businessman eager to acquire a stolen Egyptian artifact. With an apparently inexhaustible amount of cash, he writes checks and dishes out dosh while completely ignorant of the curse of Tutankhamun hovering over everything. He's probably one of the best parts of the movie, and not only because he has Mickey Mouse ears under his hat. I see what you did there, Sweden, but the joke lands better than ever now that Disney is decades into its mad frenzy of property acquisition. No, the best part of Mr. Big is that he's a Swedish actor doing an American, speaking Swedish with a bad American accent, and a lot of English slipped in. Here's a supercut. Try not to die laughing.
Den där tar jag hand om själv, Percy. Howdy, folks. Howdy. Dr. Dunkelspiel, I presume. I'm punktlig leverant and with the real stuff. Självklart, Dr. Dunkelspiel. Självklart. Diskretion. No problems, doc. För en så här fin mumie i original förpackning betalar jag bra. Och levande verkar han att vara också. $100,000. Okej, ni är tough. 200,000 cash. Okej, putta ner den här men försiktigt. Take it easy. Well, Mr. Baskerville, om jag hörde rätt så sa vi $500. Ni hörde rätt. $1,000. Okej, Mr. Baskerville. Jag litar på er. Här är $3,000. Får jag bjuda på ett glas i baren? What do you say? Very interesting. Dr. Dunkelspiel. How extraordinary ni liknar inte er själv. $100,000. No. Ni har rätt. Vi måste passa tåget. Ursäkta. Mr. Dunkelspiel. Mumien! Holy mackerel! Chauffören har blivit vansinnig! Crazy! Jag får köra själv! Var hämtar vi nu den egyptiska skulpturen, Mr. Baskerville? Junge hunden har tydligen sprungit sin väg. Jag ser banne med nothing. Teleskopet. Holy mackerel! Pyramiderna vid Gizeh! How much? For sale. What? Struntprat. Här har ni 1 miljon i förskott. Let's go. Pyramidalt. Med moderna bekvämligheter. Miss Mops. Wow, vilket sammanträffande. Jag är den nya ägaren till pyramiderna. Bullshit! Goodbye, Dr. Dunkelspiel. Goodbye.
Now, most of the other characters are incidental and don't have much involvement in the plot. There's the maid, the cleaner, the golfer, the huntsmaster, but they mostly exist to engage in affairs with other hotel guests. I love the women in this movie. Shout out to this polka dot lady. They have a great variance in body type. Although I could use more female characters who are integral to the central plot, I love the glimpses of cute girls you see, especially the hitchhiker. But first, let me talk about Miss Mops, who's essentially the deuteragonist of this movie. This pug woman is a really surprising character. She's a novelist and eventually becomes the love interest of the film. She has a few things in common with Stuart, including her gormandizing and her cigar smoking.
Men gott! Visst är det något speciellt med det franska köket.
But she's also fun and clever. She's a whole package, and her conversations with Stuart quickly turn into something like dates through the duration of the film, even going so far as to kiss him in exigent circumstances. I don't think we get fat old person love stories often enough. In fact, the elderly are rarely allowed to be protagonists of any kind. Ageism is rampant everywhere, including our fandom. It's basically the only ism you have a free pass to commit, even in supposed social justice circles. In between 25-year-olds bemoaning their advanced age and the diseased discourse that somehow your tenure in Furry is over once you hit 30, we have completely lost sight of the fact that people of all ages have something of value to contribute to society and to our subculture. On to the hitchhiker. She's this cute little blonde, and she has this subplot where she falls in love with Picasso, gets ditched, and then finds herself courted by the golfer and the huntsmaster, representing effete etiquette and raw masculinity, respectively. They ply her with wine, elegant white submerged by redolent red.
Sköna.
Oh, José!
And check out this scene where they teach her their sports.
Se här min söta. Har du någonsin hållit i ett muskedunder?
Nej, hur gör man?
Håll så här, stadigt. Så ja. Hur känns det?
Nej, inte där, jägmästaren.
Så siktar du mot horisonten. Håll! Stadigt, min sköna.
Låt mig nu lära er de grundläggande greppen.
Such grabby hands. I've definitely seen a gun used as a metaphor for the male instrument before, but never a golf club. Brava! As a pretty canid girl myself, this is about as good as it gets. There are numerous references to art and artists throughout the film, including at least 2 references to Van Gogh paintings in the owner's room and steward's room in the hotel, room 6. In addition, Picasso quotes his real-life counterpart with the phrase, "Art is a lie that reveals reality." Now, I wouldn't say this movie is strictly adult, but it does mainly focus on adults in adult situations. The idea of cartoons as only appearing to children is a painful holdover from intense Disney marketing in past decades. Remember, these are the people who added fart jokes to DVD commercials for their own classics from the 60s just because they thought they would sell better.
New on 2-disc DVD. What's black?
Lucky push me, did not get to.
And white. And fun all over.
What is it?
Disney's 101 Dalmatians.
This'll be fun!
101 Dalmatians rated G on Disney DVD today.
Finally releasing from the Disney Vault, Disney's classic The Jungle Book. The fun is non-stop.
Now, to get rid of them,
Oh dear.
she's going to need help from him.
The Tramp.
The tramp. He's a tramp.
Lady and the Tramp, first time on 2-disc DVD this Tuesday.
Hundhotellet has a wonderful heavy-lined ink look with wash backgrounds that seem to come right out of the 19th century. It's sad to think that this was Sweden's last hand-animated film because I believe every country's hand-drawn style is something that should be important to them. Too often you hear about national identity without any mention of comics and animation, and I think it's a travesty that the visual language of a people is so often diminished in favor of, say, sports. Hand-drawn animation is basically a mummy at this point, and animators of all stripes have been suffering cuts and layoffs while providing the back-breaking labor that propped companies up during COVID production lockdowns. For more, check out Jellybox Studios' animated info shorts about the struggles of the Animation Guild in recent years. There's a link in the description. Speaking of hand-drawn, Hundhotellet was actually a joint production of Sweden, Norway, and Denmark via Zentropa Entertainment, a company founded by none other than Lars von Trier, king of cartoonishly depressing movies and also of allegedly physically abusing Björk. Yuck. Gee, there sure are a lot of men who abuse positions of power in basically every industry, huh? If I'm allowed to have one gripe, however small, with this movie is that it sacrifices animal characteristics a little too often. I know I just mentioned that style is important, and it is, but this sort of thing happens all the time, especially to anthro women, and it's really just a furry gripe. I suppose it's because people want these characters to appeal to the general population, and a lot of the characters in this film unfortunately fall into 3 pigs and a baby territory. Not flattering. Now back to positivity. In addition to every other wonderful thing about this movie, it ends with one of those "Where are they now?" epilogues, telling what became of each character in the film. These just make me happy. It's almost like when you get a little extra with your meal, or you open a pack of cards and there's a hologram in there. Apparently this is going to be a series before it became a movie, and I could see Stuart going on different adventures a la Hercule Poirot. But unfortunately, this is all we got. I'd like to point out as well that the director of this film, Per Allen, died last year, 2023. He was actually a self-taught cartoonist starting off in the 1960s and has a pretty impressive list of credits. He was always more interested in films for adult audiences, and going back to our discussion on animated films with adult themes, I have a quote from him here. "I don't know whether the problem lies in the audience or the marketing, but think like this. If you draw like Picasso, Doré, or Sergo, then those are images that have no connection to film. If they then would be animated and suddenly started to move, would they become children's film then? I can't understand this. Neither can I, Pear. Neither can I. I definitely urge you to make a cup of tea, maybe get some Wiener Schnitzel, and sit down and enjoy this movie because it's a wonderful watch. Very artistic, well written, clever, just about all you could ask for. So if you're a furry and you want to see some footage, again, make sure to check out the link below. Once again, I'd like to thank my wonderful Laserdisc Patreon supporters. For only $5, you get a shout out in my videos. And for $2 and up, you can actually see everything that I post on there, including uncensored versions of some of my videos. So thank you, Dom Foxley, Sabertail, Victor the Mewtwo, Kilbaro Khan, Malcolm Thomas, JF, Delano Possum, Alex McFall, Joe the English Otter, Silly Scotty Dog, Cookie Trails, Plexel, Stubadub, Crown, Norman Whitetail, Princess Isabella, and Miorja. Well, I suppose that's everything for today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.